WrestleMania is this week, so I thought about putting on my booking hat finally. I haven't booked a video in a minute, but I am going to try to book the perfect WrestleMania 41. And this is going to be less of a in-depth booking. It's going to be more so who I think should win and why I think that they should win based off of the booking outcomes that could happen either during the match or afterwards, going on to Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania or even further. So let's get into night one specifically. It will be Gunther versus Jey Uso. This is probably the match to start off WrestleMania, and everyone is expecting Jey Uso to win. Jey Uso should win. I know that there is a lot of people, especially on Twitter, that really believe that Gunther should win because he hasn't had a great reign as champion in terms of he hasn't had the bangers that we all thought that he was going to have. We haven't seen him, tie it up with some of the best wrestlers in the world yet. And while he is World Heavyweight Champion and had this iconic IC title reign, it hasn't been the same as the World Heavyweight Champion. And I hear all that. All of that makes sense. It's Jay's time. It's Jay's time. You can't kill Jimmy and then have Gunther win. I guess you could, and then, have Jimmy come back and kick the shit out of Gunther, and Jimmy actually be the guy, which I would prefer. But I think that this is Jay's time. Now, personally, I would absolutely love the idea of Jimmy helping out Jay, but I actually think that he is probably going to come on the Raw after WrestleMania and, give Jay all his props and say that, he did this all himself. The next night one match is Jade versus Naomi, and this is actually probably my favorite build of any match at WrestleMania so far. Naomi has been a phenomenal heel, and this is why she should win. Naomi should cheat. She should bloody Jade up. There's not too many matches in WWE that require blood. I think that this match should have blood. Naomi's whole new gimmick of proceed with caution. She should be a way more violent and sadistic Naomi that she's showcasing in these promos, in these vignettes. I think that needs to come across at WrestleMania. And while you could still have Jade win and then Naomi beat up Jade, I think have Naomi cheat to beat Jade, because I think that not only allows to have a more violent and frightening Naomi to take seriously, building up more potential women's champions, but that also creates sympathy for Jade, which is going to be really, really big coming down the line, especially for some ideas that I have later. I think that you could also see Michin and B-Fab kind of have a backstage segment for, 15, 20 seconds that, they're being super sympathetic to Jade. They're trying to help Jade out, and Jade kind of have a switch just flip in her, and she becomes a more violent, cooler, badass Jade going forward. I also think that you could do something with Jordynne Grace and Naomi coming out of this. Naomi thinks that she's going to be next in line for the world title, and it's actually a Jordynne Grace call-up, and Jordynne Grace begins to take out Naomi as she doesn't see the friend that she once had. Next up is LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Jacob Fatu is winning this match. I'm going to say that he shouldn't, just for the sole fact that I think that it would make a ton of sense for Solo Sikoa to cost Jacob the match. LA Knight retains. You can do something interesting with whoever that next U.S. champion could be. It could be fucking anybody, bro. Trick Williams come up to the main roster. He could be U.S. champion. It could be Ray Fenix. It could be Alistair. It could be anybody that changes in the draft. It could be, so there's literally a million. Rusev, anybody. There's a million people to pick. My personal pick's Ricky Starks, but I don't think that one's happening. And I think that once you have that, and Jacob is so frustrated at Solo, you can have him on night 2 tell Solo that he needs to beat Randy, as it looks like it's going to be Solo versus Randy, to not embarrass the family. He needs to prove that he's just as good. He needs to prove that he's still the tribal chief. And obviously, that's not going to happen. Next up is War Raiders versus New Day. And this is actually one of the ones that I'm most excited to talk about because, one, I think that the New Day absolutely need to win this match. The build for this has been absolutely horrible, and WWE has fumbled the New Day's heel turn, but they can recover right here as the New Day defeat the War Raiders. It's, that the match is not going to be the special thing that happens here. I think that's actually going to be the Raw after WrestleMania. You want some big moments for the Raw after WrestleMania, so I think that nothing could be bigger than the New Day celebrating, being the dickish heels that they are, celebrating their tag team championship win, and we hear the music of Big E. Big E comes out, and once again, he still can't wrestle, but he comes out and he congratulates New Day. He says that he's really proud of them, and after everything, he still is happy for his brothers winning the tag titles on the biggest stage. He's really proud. And Kofi and Xavier roast the hell out of him once again, continuously going at him and even start to press him because they know that Big E can't do anything back to them. And that's when Big E says, I thought you might do that. That's why I called some friends. And those friends are revealed to be the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys come out to take out the New Day on the Raw after WrestleMania, setting up a huge potential feud. You don't necessarily need the Hardys to win the tag title, so the New Day could be good there, but that's a massive pop for the Hardys. As look at WrestleMania 33, when the New Day introduced the Hardys in that moment, kind of a full circle moment there for Big E. It would be perfect. It'd be a gigantic pop. Next up is Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. I know that there are a lot of people that think that this is going to be a long, spanned out feud. I just say have Rey defeat El Grande Americano, unmask him. I know that was a whole thing to do a big mask versus mask match. Now, have Rey beat him, unmask him, reveal that's Chad Gable. You can have LWO and American Made involved in everything. That's fine. Just do it at the big stage. Rey unmasks Gable, and then Gable will go to Dom and tell him that, the teacher that he called upon, it never actually helped him. What was this? Who was this person that Dom had in mind? And then Dom can just reveal, no, dude, that old man, it was me. It was me, you dumbass. I just conned you out of like $500. That's it. Which kind of makes Dom funny and cool and slightly a mastermind. The second to final match for night one is Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. And this has been the rivalry of hell. It has been the rivalry of awkwardness. So many people are talking about Charlotte and Tiffany like this actually might go into a shoot fight. And I've been trying to rack my brain around it because I think that Tiffany winning makes it the most interesting thing possible. However, if I'm going to say that anybody wins, I need a great justification as to why. And I feel like I just don't have one. I just don't have a great justification on why Tiffany Stratton needs to win, why she should win, outside of just like Charlotte's look dominant in this feud. So give Tiffany a win. But going forward, looking at the landscape of what happens afterwards, I don't see something that I love for Tiffany. So I think maybe allowing Tiffany to cook and figuring out this babyface character that she has in the mid card, or just, the non-title scene, the upper mid card non-title scene, could probably benefit Tiffany a little bit. Kind of just not throwing her, right into it as much as she has been, and allowing Charlotte to become champion. I mean, Charlotte's going to have a crazy amount of heat on her. And then I think that you could build up to Charlotte versus Jade, Charlotte versus Bianca, Charlotte versus Becky. There's so many potential feuds for Charlotte. The only thing that I could see happening is, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but looking at like the Royal Rumble and everything, maybe Nikki Bella helps Tiffany. I think that there should be something about, Charlotte kind of running down Tiffany's generation, saying that they're not as good as her. I really would like the idea, and maybe you guys, this is where I'll call into the comments, maybe you guys have an idea of why and how Tiffany Stratton beats Charlotte Flair and how that makes sense going forward as to the Raw and SmackDowns afterwards. And now the main event, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. And now this is where I get into my next theory. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, the main event of WrestleMania 41. Punk finally gets his main event, but does he win? I say no. Hear me out. I think the winner has to be Seth Rollins. I mean, Roman makes sense for this, CM Punk makes sense for this, and Seth is kind of thrown into all of this. But I think if my theory ends up becoming correct, it made all of the sense in the world for Seth Rollins to be a part of this feud. Obviously, Punk and Roman are fighting for the love of the wise man. And now Seth Rollins, because he didn't curb stomp Paul Heyman's brains in, also has a favor for Heyman, which may have felt like they were just trying to give Seth something, but I actually think that it could be a deeper reasoning. So let's set the scene. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk in the main event, and Punk and Roman are going to kill each other. They are choking each other. They are hitting each other with every single finisher, and Seth goes to the outside, and he threatens Heyman, and he tells Heyman to do the favor now. And Heyman sits there frustrated that Roman and CM Punk cannot look at the bigger picture. Look at Heyman. As Seth kept saying, Punk's not really in this for you. Roman's not really in this for you. You're fucked here. Seth realizes that because he's the mastermind of all of this. So he says to put in the favor. And that's when Heyman does. He makes the call. And we see Drew McIntyre come out, which confuses Punk, Roman, Seth, and Heyman. Heyman tells Seth, that's not who I called. That's not who I called. That's not what I said. That's not your favor. And Seth, very confused, is yelling at Drew. Drew pushes Seth away, says, get out of my way. Claymore, Punk. Claymore, Roman. Seth takes advantage. Seth pins, even though he is completely confused. Drew winks at him and leaves. Why would all of this happen? I think that Seth's favor is going to be for Heyman to call The Rock. And The Rock gives Drew the opportunity to join Team Corporation, which will be John Cena, Drew McIntyre, The Rock, of course, and Seth Rollins. You see, Seth keeps saying that he's fighting for the soul of WWE, right? That Punk, that Roman, they don't have the soul in mind for WWE. And I think that because he's been put in this position where no one gives a fuck, no one cares about the soul of WWE, that he is going to attempt to save the soul, to preserve the soul of WWE. And if that means joining The Rock, then so be it. He cares that much about WWE. That's at least Seth's justification, right? And Drew wants to be the guy, and he will do whatever it is to be the guy. He doesn't care about selling out. He doesn't feel ashamed about it. He's very open about that. So we have Drew taking that opportunity, and I think down the line we could see Drew and Seth as a like mega power tag team. We could also see a correlation between Seth telling Drew at WrestleMania 40, you deserve it. They've always had a decent amount of respect towards each other. And now, Seth and Drew are both doing the Punk line of tell me when I'm telling lies. Stop me when I'm telling lies. They keep saying it. There's just these little hints that makes me feel like Seth and Drew could be aligned. And I don't think that Seth is going to know that at Mania. But by night 2, it becomes very clear that it is Cena, Seth, Rock, and Drew as Team Corporation. Travis Scott, I guess, too. Sure. But that's their own, evolution type stable, which I think is really, really cool. Maybe we add a young guy like Carmelo Hayes in. I'm just saying. Any way to get Carmelo Hayes in a bigger fucking position, please. I think I'll talk about that more in the night 2 video as well. I think that there's so much to do with Team Corporation if they really make that a big deal. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised for night 1 and night 2 to come out with Team Corporation dominating. But you guys let me know how you feel about night 1, and I'll see you in the night 2 video. Deuces.